Hey everyone, hope you guys are all having a good day. Bitcoin is getting slammed again, but this time it's not really a technical analysis thing. I know we were talking about Bitcoin continuing to go down day by day, but this is actually a major news event about Mt. Gox. So let's break down exactly what's happening here and then some of the support levels you guys may be looking forward to buy up some more Bitcoin or altcoins. So, like I just said, Mt. Gox is to begin repayments in July. This is going to be big, big news. Whenever we have a flood of new Bitcoin coming back into the market, usually those people will like to sell, especially because this was part of a 2014 hack, right? Imagine buying Bitcoin back in 2014 and you weren't able to sell it or do anything with it until today. You're definitely going to be able to take some of that Bitcoin off and make some money off of that. That's at least that's what I would do, right? And before we get started even further, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, the repayments will be made in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and could possibly add selling pressure to both markets. Remember that Bitcoin Cash, because Bitcoin Cash is also having a very, very bad day right now. Now, the repayments are largely considered to add selling pressure to Bitcoin markets as early investors will receive assets at a much higher value than their entries before 2013, making them inclined to sell at least part of the holding. Again, if you had Bitcoin from 2013, 2014, and you just held on to it for a couple decades, a decade pretty much, you're going to be happy to sell and take all of that profit because you know they've made a ton of money. Remember, this is 2013, 2014. This is not even the 2017 rally, a long time ago. Now, in early 2014, hackers attacked the exchange, resulting in a loss of an estimated 740,000 Bitcoin, $15 billion worth at current prices. The hack was the biggest of the many attacks on the exchange in the years 2010 and 2013. They have a repayment plan working out. We'll see how this works out, but it looks like it's going to add a lot of selling pressure in July. This won't matter all too much if we have good economic data, like good CPI data, weak inflation coming our way. It won't matter. But if you compound this, you add this onto everything going on right now, this could really add to much more of a bearish case for Bitcoin here, which is going to be much more frightening for a lot of people, right? So let's really break down what happened today. You guys can see we weren't just taking a normal sliding move down. No, when this news broke today, you can see we actually had a very rapid move down. It was violent, it was nasty, and we're still coming down here bit by bit. When we broke down below 60,000 bucks, I did buy a tad here just to see. This is a dollar cost averaging move, but ultimately we're already breaking down below this order block here, which makes me believe we might have to come back down here to the 200 daily moving average, which is going to be maybe around 58,000 bucks here. Not breaking down below this large support around 56,500, but still, it's getting pretty close right here. The death cross, like we talked about, that's already going to happen. There's no stopping it now. And then we might have to kind of ride this wave out a little bit. I do think we have some more economic data coming out this week, so that might be able to help us out. But in the short term here, I might expect maybe 1 or 2 more days of bearishness before we try to have any type of pop to just survive in this larger rectangle that we've built. You can see some old resistance right there, support and resistance over here. And of course, right now we're looking at the next level of support. Going over to the weekly chart, we finally broke down below that weekly moving average. This is why we had that stream yesterday, just to kind of get you guys ready for it, except for we were expecting like maybe 3-4 days of downward moves, not one violent move based off of this news about Mt. Gox, right? That was something that was very unexpected, but when it does happen, that news breaks, it can definitely cause the type of impact we've seen today. Now, everything on the weekly chart is bearish right now, except for the change of character. The weekly chart is still bearish. That doesn't mean we can't continue to hold and go sideways, but at this point, longs are going to be very, very high risk positions unless we can get a bullish change of character here, which at this point would probably take a week. So you're probably not doing many longs here unless you guys are doing some scalps, and even then, you're going to have to require something like the 4-hour chart to give you much more room to get in there. There was a selling signal right here. There was another selling signal right here, and both of them ultimately work out because the overall trend is working in your favor for short sellers. I wanted to also talk about a couple other tokens here, just like we just talked about Bitcoin Cash, if I can find it. Bitcoin Cash also taking a massive L for the day. Go over to the weekly chart. This has been an uptrend that's been happening all the way since June of 2023. We finally broke down below it. We're heading for another massive support level. Support the 50 and the 200 weekly moving averages, this is going to be massive. We might see Bitcoin Cash fall all the way back down here towards 231, which would be an enormous loss for investors right there. So be very, very careful if you're in this right now. We're hoping that this is just a one-day bad news cycle and it kind of pops up from there. But if we continue to see the dollar index kind of play games with us a little bit, that could definitely lead to a little bit more caution. I think what we need to see is typically, like before, we're going to have to break down below this trend, and then we're going to have to wait to see what happens. We still have a few more days for that. We'll see. We were talking about some small trades earlier, but that's not important right now. We need to break down. We need to give Bitcoin a little bit of breathing room here, because if this continues to get bad inflation data, bad economic data as a whole, and by bad I mean very, very good, inflationary economic data, let me call it that, we're going to see some more spiciness from the US dollar, leading to Bitcoin and a lot of other assets coming down. That being said, because of this news, you're actually also seeing the SPY down a little bit this week and the NASDAQ down a little bit this week as well. We talked about how they were kind of teetering a little bit here, and we're waiting to see if they're going to consolidate a little bit more. This rally has been interrupted, and I believe it's in large part to what Jerome Powell did a few weeks ago by talking about his very hawkish position about federal funds rate, and how he only thinks they're going to have one rate cut this year, when in reality, I believe we're going to have two. Well, maybe three if we're very, very lucky and there's something like more of something breaking down into disaster. But I do believe we're going to be fine if we just have two rate cuts, and Bitcoin should be able to reach another batch of all-time highs, possibly up to $100,000 and whatnot. But as this summer kind of goes into a little bit of a lull, we might have to be a little more patient. If you go back in time a little bit, though, when you're looking at Bitcoin here, the last time that we were kind of back in this situation, June, July, that type of stuff, Bitcoin was pretty much still sideways here. This is May, June, a lot of flat, a lot of nothingness. Over here, March is when we kind of plateaued. Last time we went down, right? October kind of kicked us up. I'm hoping we don't have to wait that long, but typically we do have some slumps in the summer over here. Again, this was May, June, July. July kind of kicked things up for us a little bit more, but we might be in a little bit more of a slump here, where it's going to be for only the strong will to dollar cost average during this environment. One of the things I did want to tell you guys today, though, is, there's a lot of tokens in like WIF. This Mt. Gox stuff has no real effect on WIF, if you will. WIF is up, Bonk is up, Miro is up, STMX is up, Book of Meme is up. Now, they're not going sky high and stuff, but there are a few tokens that are still making some positive moves, even though Bitcoin's been having a really rough time of it. So take your time, kind of absorb what's going on in this market, because it's not a good market right now, as you guys know. But I don't really feel the need to do much besides dollar cost averaging. Sure, we can short a little bit more. I think that's perfectly fine. But after today's move, I don't think I want to short. I think I want to wait for another maybe opening for myself before making that type of move. Even now on the hourly chart, we're still getting pushed down bit by bit. So maybe there's some of those day trades that you guys are looking at, that might be a best bet. I'm going to stream with you guys, I think, from about 5 to 7 tonight, or 4 to 6. 4 to 6 tonight, I think, is probably what I'm going to do, because then I have to go do a meeting later on tonight at the Cigar Lounge. I just bought my tickets to Bitcoin Nashville here, so that's going to be kind of fun. I'm making sure to see if a friend wants to go with me or not. So it'll be an eventful time out there. I think Trump is actually going to go there. I think that was the news that just broke a while ago. Oh, let's see. Yeah. President Donald Trump in talks to speak at the Bitcoin Nashville rally. That's pretty interesting. I'm interested to see what he has to say. I would love to get some footage of him and maybe even ask him a question, like if he really believes it or not. But yeah, I'm excited to see what can happen there. Thanks.